Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to start the show. If I could just get everybody to calm down. All right, we've got the green light. Now, who are these guys again? Derrick and Brian, standing tall. Active 20 to 30, we want to hear it all. Yeah, tell us your story with some local beer. Man, listen and learn and just stay right here.
So welcome to the Standing Tall podcast featuring Derrick Compton and myself, Brian Wallace. We are here today at Red Bus Brewing Company with Erik Schmid, the owner here at Red Bus. Tell us a little bit about Red Bus.
We're a little microbrewery here in Folsom. We've been open for 4 years, a little over 4 years, thanks to your help, Brian.
Yeah. Yes.
Brian does all the art for us, our labels and our logos and marketing and stuff. We're an example of a hyper-local type of brewery setup. We really cater to the Folsom crowd. We obviously do some distribution in and around Sacramento. Just small, community-based. We do a lot of different styles. We're not real heavy on anything in particular.
Cool.
A lot of people really focus on IPAs. We don't.
Yep.
Just a fun place to come hang out and drink some beer.
We'll take a little tour of the brewery here before we sign off. But we are here today because we are kicking off Standing Tall, which is a beer that is going to be brewed here on June the 15th, Wednesday. It is a beer that celebrates a pretty significant milestone for the Active 2030 Club of Sacramento. It is the 100th anniversary of the club, and celebrating, no better way to celebrate than brew a beer.
That's right.
Yeah. So we are inviting all past active members as well as active members out to the brewery to come out here at 6:30 p.m. to 6 p.m.
6 to 8.
to 8:30.
Yep.
Yes, to come in and brew the beer with us.
Yeah.
So how's that work, Erik? What's that night going to look like?
We're taking the Sierra Nevada resilience model
Okay.
approach to it, which was really kind of unique to us. I'm sure some other people did it, but I don't know anybody else locally. So when the fire happened up in Paradise a few years ago, Sierra Nevada put together this program to raise money for the fire victims up there, and the idea was to brew beer and donate the proceeds back. And we took it a step further and said, well, why don't we throw a party the day we brew the beer, and so people can be exposed to the process and the ingredients and create a connection.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
So we did that, and man, the turnout was massive. I have an old Sierra Nevada kind of, just old green pale ale poster we put up over the brew deck, and long history in Chico as a college student and that kind of thing. So it was very cool.
Right.
So we thought with the way that worked out.
Right.
When we started talking about this 2030 beer, it's like, man, why not do the same thing? Still a lot of active and past members in the area.
Right.
What a great way to bring everybody together.
Yeah.
And create a connection with another product like that.
Yeah, when you did Resilience, you had a lot of folks here that had a connection to Chico that came that night specifically because they wanted to have, they wanted to participate in some way to show their support for the people that were affected by the wildfire.
Yep.
So, yeah, that was pretty awesome.
So same concept, right?
Yep. So a lot of folks, so we're inviting everybody, like I said, past active members to come on out and be a part of this brew night. You have to register online. So check the link here in this post to find out how to let us know you're going to be here. But we look forward to having you join us.
June 15th.
June 15th, Wednesday, June 15th.
Right?
It's a Wednesday night.
Brew party, yeah.
It's the brew party, and it starts at 6 p.m. and it goes till about 8:30. And there'll be a food truck here, and you get to try some of these Red Bus beers if you're so inclined, which we're going to do today. We have some Red Bus beers with us, and Erik is going to teach us kind of the fundamentals of beer tasting, because what we're going to do is over the next couple weeks, we're going to be interviewing 2030 members from the past and the present and talk to them a little bit about their experience in 2030. And we're going to taste a beer with them, and they're going to learn how to taste beer properly.
Proper beer tasting etiquette.
Yes.
Etiquette with you guys?
Yes.
That's right.
I don't know. I can teach you a framework. I'm not sure the etiquette can be taught.
Proper 2030 fashion.
Yeah.
So I'm drinking this beer. It's a very small beer, but it's 95630. This is
the zip code Pilsner.
Zip code Pilsner.
Yep.
And Derrick, what are you
This
drinking?
is the Jetronic.
Jetronic.
Kind of our House Hazy IPA.
House Hazy IPA.
Yeah, so two very different beers.
Different beers.
Right, so you're looking for kind of a framework on how do you go about evaluating beers and comparing one to another.
Right.
Right. And so the first thing is to understand the style that you've selected or purchased or whatever it is, right? So you selected a Pilsner.
Right.
Okay, it's very easy to find style guidelines just with your phone online.
Okay.
And there's hundreds of different beer styles.
Yep.
And there's probably 30 that are commonly known and used all the time, but there are literally hundreds.
Yep.
And there's sub-styles, right? So Pilsner, Italian Pilsner, American style, Continental Pilsner, German Pilsner, Czech Pilsner.
Wow. It's getting very complicated.
Well, they all, but they all should taste fairly similar,
right,
with some subtle nuances for the different regions and that kind of thing.
So when somebody comes into Red Bus and they ask you for something that's light, this is a style that just kind of is a kind of this style is what you recommend, this one, right?
I do for people that it's light, although Pilsner is supposed to be fairly aggressively hopped,
yes,
per style. So you also have to, as a bar worker or a server out there, is understand or try and get to the bottom of what light means when they're telling you they want something light.
Right.
It could be light in alcohol, it could be light in color, it could be light in hopped, it could be. So everybody's use of the word light is not the same.
Right.
So what I will say is, okay, we have the Mexican lager on, which isn't quite hopped as aggressively as that.
Yes, yes.
We have the Pilsner. Sometimes we have a blonde ale that's even less hopped than either one of those. So it'll also depend on what we have on tap at the time. But yeah, that's always in the conversation for a light beer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I like this one.
Yeah.
And this is light in alcohol too. It's Yep, light in alcohol. It does have some hoppiness to it though.
It does, and it should based on the style.
Yeah, right. So Derrick's beer is a hazy IPA. This is a very popular style. Popular
and fairly recent in its evolution and come about. So these beers, the hazy IPAs or New England IPAs, juicy IPAs, they call them a bunch different, are the latest trend that all of us are hoping goes away. But they originated on the East Coast of Upper East Coast, Hetty Topper up there in Maine and upstate New York, and they were adding so many hops in the fermenter and after the beer was boiled in an attempt to get hop aromas and flavor that a biological process was happening in the fermenter called biotransformation, and the hop oils were binding with other products in the beer and creating this hazy type of beer. Mm-hmm. And that's purely from yeast, pH, hops. I mean, I could go into all the details, but the hazy beers are supposed to look this way. And the characteristics of those beers, besides being hazy, is that they're usually anywhere from 5.5% to maybe 7, 8, 9%. They still go along the single, double, triple train that a regular IPA would, but they don't have the assertive bitterness that the West Coast style IPAs do. Mm-hmm. And the difference is that we're not adding as much hop product to the beer while it's boiling to where the isomerization goes on and you're pulling bitterness out of the hop. We add a little bit right at flame out, and then after we cool the beer and it goes into the kettle or into the fermenter, we add hops to the beer during and post fermentation, and that way you get flavor and aroma from it, but you don't get just straight bitter out of it.
Mm. So it's got that more of a smooth kind of flavor to it, as opposed to other IPAs that.
It's just not as bitter. It's more. It's more citrus juice forward.
Okay. Right. There's people that like IPA, like hazy IPAs, that don't like a West Coast style bitter IPA.
They're very different beers.
Yeah.
Like they both they share the IPA moniker, but they're very different in terms of their flavor profiles. A West Coast IPA is bitter and clear, and should still have some hop aroma. But these are more, they're more like a 90s style Hefeweizen than they are an IPA, if you ask me. But you don't need the fruit because the fruit is kind of mimicked with the hop varieties that are used that are supposed to kind of promote that lemon or orange or whatever the citrus flavor.
Yeah.
So folks that used to like the Pyramid Hefeweizen style or Widmer and will put a lemon on there will gravitate towards these beers. And they're also a great kind of a gateway. I don't know if you use the word gateway in terms of drugs and alcohol.
I get
but they're a gateway beer to get some people that don't necessarily like beer to try the style and eventually maybe move into more of a general beer consumer.
Right. So the beer we're brewing on June 15th,
Yep.
from 6 to 8:30ish is called Standing Tall. The motto of 2030 is "One never stands so tall as when kneeling to help a child." So Standing Tall seemed like the appropriate name for this beer. But then we consulted with Eric. What kind of beer will we be brewing that night?
We're going to brew a pale ale.
A pale ale.
I'd call it a West Coast pale ale, but like a Sierra Nevada, Mirror Pond type of West Coast style pale ale. So, when we talked about it, we tried to come up with a beer that would be appealing to a broad range of people, right? Because you have a lot of different folks that are going to take part in this. They might not all like IPAs, they might not all like Pilsners. Pale ale seems to be a style that most people are familiar with and like.
Yep.
So that's what we came up with, and it's it's a fairly simple beer to brew. It won't take us a super long time that night to do it, and we can produce it pretty quickly.
Okay, so we brew it that night, and then people can pre-order cans.
Correct.
4-pack cans of this beer, which will be ready when? Like, how long does it take for the beer to be ready? Will it be ready for our convention?
I sure hope so.
Fingers crossed.
I should have asked that question earlier.
Wait a second. Stop the podcast. No, it'll be ready. We should have it ready right around the 4th of July.
Right. So it takes a little. We brew it. It goes into the tanks. We'll show that. We're going to go take a look at that.
Yeah. It goes through an active fermentation where the yeast is just converting all the sugars to alcohol and CO2, and that takes 3 or 4 days, and then it'll get dry hopped, and then we use a fining agent on it. So we could crank one out in probably 2.5 weeks if we really had to.
Right.
But for the beer to develop correctly and be right, it's 3 to 4 weeks. But,
yeah.
We'll have it done for you, I promise.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we'll have a lot of happy people then.
Yeah.
So the cans will be available. You'll be able to pre-order them that night. We may actually even have the pre-order availability sooner. So continue to follow the Active 2030 Club on social media, because as soon as we have the thumbs up that we can start taking pre-orders, we will go ahead and open it up and
put it out there.
Right, and it could go quickly. We don't know, but
we'll have to determine how much we actually make available pre-order, because there's going to be some kegs that are sold around town.
Right.
We'd like to have some on tap here. I know at your conference you guys might want to pour some down there, so we're going to have to try and figure out how much we'll have available to put in cans, and then we'll make sure we'll have the right inventory on the website so that it runs out when it runs out.
And that's one of the cool things that we're going to be doing. We worked with Eric to make kegs available to some of the places that they'll be going during convention week. So thank you for helping us, hooking us up with that, so that we'll have some areas where we'll have tap takeovers,
right,
and be able to kind of serve our Standing Tall beer at these events during conventions. So something really cool for convention attendees as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you guys talk about the dinner, the kind of kickoff that week
right
at Alaro.
Yeah. So on July 11th for convention attendees as well, we're going to be doing a tap takeover at Alaro, formerly Rubicon Brewing.
Yep. Yes.
So you know the location, and we'll be doing food and serving Standing Tall and being able to celebrate convention kickoff week, and that's July 11th.
Yeah.
Right. It's awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
They're thrilled to be involved too.
Yeah, you guys have a good connection with.
Yeah,
Alaro.
we've done some collab beers with them. We just really get along very well. Yeah,
it's
nice
awesome.
people down there.
All right, well, let's go take a look at the brew house, and you
Okay.
can show us around a little bit and give people an idea of what's going to be going down when we do the Standing Tall Brew Night, right?
Yeah, I hope it's not too messy out there.
All right, you guys, what's going on up here?
I just thought we'd show you guys around the brewery area here at Red Bus. So we're standing on the brew deck. It's not massive. Like I said, we're a small kind of neighborhood style brewery here. So it's a 7-barrel system. We do roughly between 200 and 250 gallons at a time. So we have our mash tun where all the grain comes in through the auger. We pull the malt sugar out, it comes over here and boil. After it's done boiling, it goes through the big, radiator-looking heat exchanger thing down there, and then it gets pumped out of that into one of these vessels behind you. Right now, Brian, we have your beer in here. The Duck Whisperer's in here.
Oh yeah, baby.
So that got brewed, you can see just last week. We got Biofine and the CO2 on it now. So this beer, we might even have this out on Friday, which is like less than a 2 week turnaround. So we can turn around pretty quick.
Nice.
Well, Eric, we want to thank you for walking us through the brewery, showing us how the beer is made, taking us through the steps of the process of what we're going to be able to do on the 15th.
Yeah.
And walking us into our brewing event and then into our kickoff on July 9th. We're going to be doing a tasting with our president of the 200th term of the 100th year of Active 2030. So we've talked about beer tasting and things like that. So what are some tips that you'll give us to kind of walk him through and have him do a proper tasting?
Sure, I did try and keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can get really complex with this stuff and have point systems and all that, but really there's just some key components. What does it look like?
Okay.
So when you pour it into the glass, or however you're going to distill, you're coming off a tap or whatever. What does it look like? Is it clear? Is it not? Is it hazy? Does it have a nice head on it? Does it look carbonated? That kind of thing would be your first thing to look at. That's why I always try and serve beer in a clear glass, because I think that's part of the experience. And then before you even start to drink it, what does it smell like? So you can kind of put your nose down in there and take a whiff of it. Depending on the style you're trying, some beers are going to have some very pronounced aromas, and some aren't. So it'll depend on the style of beer you're doing.
Okay.
Then there's the flavor compounds. So is it malty, biscuity, bready, caramely? Does it have chocolate flavors? Roasted kind of coffee flavors. Those are all going to be characteristics of varying beer styles. The stouts are going to have a very hot, heavy chocolate, coffee, roasted barley kind of thing. Pilsner beer is going to be, or a lager beer is going to be very light, and you're just going to get some really nice little bready, biscuity notes to it. And then your IPAs and your amber beers are going to be somewhere in between there. So that kind of thing. And then how does it finish? Is it dry? Does it leave a residual sweetness on your mouth? Does it feel carbonated enough? Those kind of things. And then do you taste hop flavors too? Do you taste the sweetness of the malt and the hops? The hops, they should balance out. And some beers are purposely made to where they don't balance, right? To where the hop really is pronounced, or some beers are really malty. So that's kind of it. Like I said, you can really get geeky about this stuff and become a beer judge and all that, but I know that's not what you guys are looking to do. Just run people through and try and get them familiar with the beer style and what they should expect.
Okay. Awesome. We'll have fun with that. I think it's going to be good. Yeah. So we've got some beers lined up for our interviews that were coming up, and I think it'll be a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, Eric, we got to thank you again, man, for your support of Active 2030, and Brian and I in our venture to kind of bring some awareness to our club, to your business, and to the community that we serve. So
happy to do it, excited to do it. I just think it's anytime we can get involved in a community organization like this, whether it's in Folsom or the region in general, we'll do it.
Awesome.
There's no reason not to.
We'll follow Red Bus on all social media accounts and stay close. They do awesome trivia nights, and they've got great food here, and we look forward to being back very, very soon and often.
Hope to see everybody on the 15th.
Yes.
Thank you, Eric.
15th. We'll see you then.